A Kawai comparison video. Today we are comparing the KDP75 and the KDP120. Are there 45 KDP differences? Are there $300 worth of differences?
I'll agree with that one.
I think there are, because we all agree on monetary system that runs our country. But today we are looking at Kawai's digital pianos, brand new product for 2021, the KDP series from Kawai. Let's check it out.
Hi, this is Ted with Alamo Music Center in downtown San Antonio, Texas.
And I'm Patrick Marr. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channels, check out our other videos, sign up for notifications, like our videos, leave us comments. We really appreciate your support and we love to interact with you. So Ted, the KDP series. A very successful piano line because of the price, because of the offering from Kawai. The KDP series now has the 120 and the 75 replacing the 110 and the 70. So interesting that one went up by 5 and one went up by 10.
Well, they must have added more to one than the other. I don't know that those are really differences, or those are just numbers.
I think they're just numbers.
45 differences?
No way. This video would be way too long if there's 45 differences between the two.
What's fascinating, though, is that this is both products are entry-line pianos for the home, for the most part, digital pianos for the home.
Yeah, and what does that mean? It means it's a complete package, all in one box, included, ready for you to get started.
With a matching bench and all 3 pedals and the stand. It almost looks like a spin-it piano.
And we've talked about this in other videos, but what everyone of your generation and the generations before you,
we grew up with an upright piano. A lot of them were spinets, and most of them were not in tune. You know, they were always out of tune. A spinet goes out of tune relatively quick.
And yeah, and it was affordable. It was the right size. It didn't take up too much space in the house, and it was quality because it was all that you could get for $500 to $1,000.
And it was a way to move forward with your music education and begin learning how to play piano and read music literature.
And look how far we've come.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating.
And so the 75 and the 120, brand new releases for 2021 from Kawai. There was a couple announcements of new pianos. We're really excited for some of the other ones coming. But the KDP series is that entry to intermediate beginner line. And the KDP then goes to the CN series, which is a little bit more robust, which goes up to the CA series, which is their top of the line digital instrument. And so Kawai is very actively listening to consumers and saying, what does this need to have? What does our entry line that's $899 or $1199, what does it need to have to get someone started, to get someone playing, to get someone loving Kawai piano, so that the next instrument they get is hopefully a Kawai bigger digital or an acoustic or a grand. And so really excited to have them both. We're going to be playing both of them here in a little bit, but this is the 120 behind us. They actually have identical cabinets and are pretty much identical in weight. I think there's a 2-pound difference between the two of them. So what are the differences?
You know, I have to tell you, when you're looking at that money and you're trying to weigh one to the other, all I can tell you is that you kind of have to do your own little blindfold test and sit down and play both of them, one next to the other one. And if money's no matter, well, then everyone's going to want to gravitate toward the KDP, the 120 model, because it has a bit heavier of an action, and it does have, to me, it feels a little bit more solid when I'm playing it.
Yeah, so it's the Responsive Hammer Compact in the 75 and the Responsive Hammer Compact 2 in the 120. The biggest difference between both of those is the number of sensors that are going to be in each keystroke. And so the way, when you're playing a digital instruments, the way it interprets how loud it should be playing the piano sample, it all depends on the velocity of how you're hitting the key.
Got it.
And so it's the more sensors, the more accurate the reading can be, the more dynamic control you have. And if you look
precise.
And if you look at the industry standard of the nicer digital in-home pianos, 3 is usually where it tops out. And then there's other things that come into a nicer action like wood keys and there's other differences that come along as you move up the line, let off, simulation, all these things, the key texture, all these neat little features. But as far as we're concerned here in the KDP series, the biggest difference between the two actions is going to be sensors. 2 sensors on the 75, 3 sensors on the 120. Both of them are going to have graded weighted keys though, which is, most teachers require that as you need this to start off on.
Both of these instruments will check off all the right proper boxes for a teacher. Now, whether it checks off the right state of mind for the student or the player is a different story. And playing them side by side, if you're a beginning student and you're just a little kid or you know nothing about pianos, it doesn't really matter. Now, if you've played some and maybe you quit and you went back to it and then you're now getting back to it, you're gonna like the more expensive model. It's $300 more.
You might even find yourself looking at the C-Ed or CA series
you
at that
may even
point.
go on to something else, because a lot of times when people are searching, a lot of people have a great ear, even though they've never used it, and they've never trained it, but there are some people that just will not buy certain kind of instruments. They'll buy the most expensive thing, even though they can't play it. And it's just because it sounds the way that it's supposed to sound to them. So arguing sound with someone is really not,
it's all relative.
It's all relative. It's all personal preference. And you argue with a guy that's hard of hearing in one ear, and he's going to tell you what a great piano sound is.
Well, so number one difference, the feel of it. And so how responsive, how much dynamic control you might have over the sample, which is actually identical in both of them, the SKEX sample, which is actually new for the 75 over the predecessor 70.
The response is different, and that's noticeable, at least to me it was. And that, along with, and that's mostly those sensors into action, but I like having that boom in that volume. I like the extra meat in the amplifier.
Well, so that was the next point, was that basically has the same sound. The SKEX is going to be a great sounding instrument, but which one is going to express it better? Not only because of the sensor, but because of the output wattage on the speaker. So our second big difference between these two instruments is going to be 20 watts of power per side, so 40 watts total on the 120. 40 watts of power, very, going to fill a room, going to sound good, especially at that 75 to 80% volume. It's going to sound like a piano, a spinet, or an upright. It's going to give you a lot full, very full sound. On the 75, 9 watts of power per side. So all in all, 18 watts of power is less than one side on the 120. So not that that's necessarily bad. I think that's an industry standard for that price point, is being less than 10 watts, right around 10 watts. And so definitely a difference though, because it's the same engine going, but it's not going to be able to really fully produce at a dynamic range what you're trying to.
The response isn't the same from this one and that one.
And so with the combination of sensors and speakers, you might get a whole completely different overall feeling of the instrument. Especially, I know you have, as playing these two. One of them's going to feel one way, one's going to feel like, oh, this is a significant step up. It is
true, but in all fairness, I did not go in and change any of the piano technician. I didn't change any of the parameters at all. Just played the straight set sounds, 1 through however many they have. And you could probably go in and make these things a lot more appealing than what they are right off of the thing, at least on a personal level, for both the 75 and the 120.
Yeah, well, let's take a listen to both of them side by side. They do have the same voices in them, same engines, but again, you'll be playing them with different sensors and also listening. The way your reference will be a different wattage output. So we'll keep that in mind when we're listening to these and how, if it affects your playing at all. Or let's take a listen.
about the comparison of one to the other, but I don't know if it's just our listeners, but as I was going through and doing all that, I'm thinking there's really only a $300 price variance between these two instruments. And that does draw the line. I mean, if you're brand new and a beginner, or your 4-year-old wants to play piano, well, naturally you're not going to want to spend a whole lot of money on it to get them going. So, $899 is a full set piano student deal. You're ready to go. A couple of $100 more, $300 more, you can get the same thing that might even last them an extra couple of years or so. Not that it's going to fall apart, but that it's going to have enough beef and enough sound and touch and all that kind of stuff in it.
Yeah, and so I think it's important to take a look a little bit more deeper at the sound, the feel, the responsiveness, but also kind of feature set. And so both of them have a really cool app that comes that you can download for free in the App Store on Apple or on Android, the Google Store. You can go in and you can download this remote piano. There's also a piano learning app that does connect to both as well. But the remote piano app actually turns into a controller for these units, and you're able to go through the different sounds, make adjustments, the virtual technician app, and kind of make it, and you can alter the sound and be like, okay, this is a little bit different than just the generic click the button sound.
See, that alone, that's something that you could never ever do on an old spinning piano or any kind of acoustic instrument. Not that you really need to or want to, but it's available, and so they make it available. I think that's a great feature.
It makes it more personal. It makes it, okay, I'm going to change this, and each one of them, there's 13 parameters. You can go in and make small micro adjustments and turn it down. The damp, you can go on the damper pedal and turn down how sensitive it is, or you can change the action or change the overall tone. And there's 10 presets if you're kind of lost and you want to see the wide spectrum of those. You can go through and click through the presets on there. But it makes it a neat experience, makes it a little bit more lively. But the way you connect to the app is very different on the two. So our third and final difference between these two units. Bluetooth. So Bluetooth MIDI is the KDP120 is compatible with Bluetooth MIDI, and so you don't need any wires to connect to change that application. Where on the KDP75 you'll need a USB to MIDI that goes either to the iPad or to the tablet, cable, and then all the way connected in, which is technology that that's been the standard for a while. The Bluetooth is a newer thing, but that is one kind of key difference between these two models. Neither of them have Bluetooth audio. That you'll need to move up to the CN series or the CA series to get that, to play into that. But we will be comparing the KDP series to the YDP series and to Roland's in-home digital series, all in that same price point. So make sure you guys are subscribed, because we are going to be bringing that.
That'll be fun. That'll be a good video.
That'll be a good video, because it's kind of like these three competitors at this price point. What's the best that money can buy in that price range? And then we will also be doing a comparison of the KDP versus the CN series versus the CA series, and maybe if we have an NV series, we can put it in there too. That's their hybrid line. But Kawai, really, they have a spanning range of different products, and really try to be consistent on what they're releasing at each price point, saying, hey, we really want to make the best $899 in-home digital we can. We want to make the best $1199. So if you guys have any comments on the KDP series, if you've owned one in the past, if you've loved it, if you've said, hey, I wish they would have done this differently, please leave some comments. I know people will really appreciate your opinion on this, because they're just looking for the right instrument. We all are. And so KDP series from Kawai, we're really happy that in 2021 they kind of did just a little,
it's a great offering.
A little bit of a refresh on the product line, but really kind of keeping it consistent as a great entry line product. Finishes on them, the KDP120 does have the rosewood available, has a black and has a white. The 75 only has black and white. So a couple different color options, but comes in one box, not super hard to put together, kind of puts together like a piece of IKEA furniture. Weight difference, about 2 pounds, 79 pounds versus 81 pounds. So not super heavy, really nice with the bench. Ergonomics are great there, but really just a solid product from Kawai, and happy to have it here, demoing it for you guys.
Been fun.
Ted Barcelou, I'm Patrick Marr. Thank you guys for watching. Find us online at alamomusic.com. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.